Welcome to TransAction TV. My name is Anthony Attanasio, CEO of Hawk Strategies, and I'll be your host. Today we're joined by my good friend John Donlon, the founder and CEO of UZURV, the Adaptive TNC. John, welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. Good to be with you.
Good to have you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about UZURV, your background with it, and what the company's doing?
Sure. Well, I think everybody, for the most part, has an experience with a loved one or relative that's challenged with mobility. And it's really interesting when you look at the options that people have. They're very limited in reality, and the fallback is looking for family members to try and help them out. At the time that I had to take my father's car keys away, I looked at TNCs, I looked at paratransit, and it was clear that if we could combine the two of them, the credentialing, the regulatory oversight, in a TNC model, you'd have something very efficient, great for the rider experience, and also very, very cost effective. So UZURV was started almost 8 years ago, May of 2017. We're now nationwide, and we just had a bill passed in New Jersey that's allowing us to start, and a week from next Tuesday, we will start service in New Jersey.
It's very exciting, and I think we're going to talk about that process and what happened. But you know what you talked about your father and the reality, and your lapel pin says it the best. John's lapel pin says ADA is a promise. And why don't you talk about that mission for paratransit and how you see that being so critical right now?
Sure. The ADA is often referred to as an unfunded mandate. We look at it as ADA is a promise, and that mobility independence is for everybody. Anyone mobility challenged is a prisoner in their own home. It's going to have a negative impact on your life, and the mission is to help people get to where they need to go, and that's for medical appointments, but it's also for the pleasures of everyday life. And to find a way within limited budgets to be able to enable people to have reliable transportation, safe transportation, and very convenient is really what the mission was all about. This is certainly a TNC model, but tremendous amount of technology that's enabling the safety, the security, the oversight, the compliance for the service to be operational.
So, you know, in New Jersey Transit does the best they can with the funding and support that they get to run Access Link, which folks are familiar with the Access Link vans, which have been taking our disabled and disadvantaged communities through paratransit service. But that's a van, it's on a loop, and obviously we know some of the pitfalls of that current setup. If you have waited months for your appointment, and then several riders before you are late, by the time you get into the loop, you may miss your appointment. And we've had the community that needs the most support getting the least support. Now, for the first time in New Jersey, this community is going to be able to pick up their phone, order a door-to-door, not curb-to-curb, right? But a door-to-door service.
Yeah.
And that's revolutionary for this community.
Well, it's origin to destination, that's right. And listen, paratransit agencies across the country do the best they can. But when you're operating through a manifest, a scheduled series of stops, pickups in the course of a day, one delay, one event can cause that entire schedule to be thrown off.
Yes.
And so now a little bit of innovation, still with compliance, is turning that all around. And you can see 98.4% on-time pickups, which is life-changing.
Sure.
And the feedback is tremendous. I think as more and more people become familiar with the kinds of savings and service that you can provide, it will continue to be adopted.
Yeah. Government quite often says they're improving our quality of life, but quite often they're just making it more complicated. This is a tangible act that we're going to talk about this law right now that is going to allow the disabled community to truly have an improved quality of life in our state through better mobility and transportation. And that journey started about 2 years ago when John and I met. And John, his company, had applied for a TNC license through our Motor Vehicle Commission. Let's just say that process did not go well, and it required us to begin a legislative process. And what was amazing about that was, you know, we were able to get the chairs of the two transportation committees to be the prime sponsors with bipartisan co-sponsorship, because to your point, when you tell the story of what this service can do for the disabled community, we like to say it passed through the legislature unanimously, unfortunately 4 times because of lame duck and other issues, but it did pass unanimously. And I think what we've seen is this embracing now, because as soon as people understand what the service is, they want it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because they know somebody, to your point, that needs it.
That's correct. That's correct. And, it was a process within New Jersey. I'm really very, very pleased that it was unanimous at the end of the day. This is a cause that everybody can rally behind, and it's true everywhere. I also would say that with the new administration, the FTA is going to be focused on performance.
Yes.
And where transit agencies typically are measured by ridership has never really recovered from the pandemic.
Correct.
It's at 79% by and large. And yet the costs are continuing to go up. There's going to be a focus on performance and safety and helping people live their lives. I think that's what we will see in the new administration, and I think we're part of that solution.
Well, not only are you part of it, you've already placed yourself, you've pre-positioned your company to be the solution that the agencies need, which is one of the reasons New Jersey Transit was our ally in this process, and we worked with them, because at the end of the day, they will benefit because UZURV's drivers are FTA compliant, right? You do drug and alcohol testing. You've taken all of the concerns that the FTA and New Jersey Transit might have with a new model. You've taken all the concerns out before they've even had to really evaluate the model. And then how many states are you currently operating in?
We're in 22 states, 32 cities, as far west as California, up and down the East Coast, Chicago, Dallas, Vegas, Phoenix. Again, we started by going to innovative transit agencies that saw the opportunity and wanted to give it a try. And now the word is getting out, and more people are reaching out for this. So that's really what is taking place today. And I would say this: the model is very interesting, I think, Anthony, because this is a community solution. Our drivers are members of the community.
Right.
The lion's share of the revenue, goes to those drivers, those people living in the community. And someone who is maybe a retired teacher or law enforcement officer, a mom that has kids in school, they can say, you know what, I want to give back. I'll submit to drug and alcohol testing. I'll go through the curriculum, and I may just live around the corner from the person who needs a trip.
Right.
So it's a really healthy environment overall.
That's exciting. It's innovative. It improves quality of life for the communities that need it most. It's supporting our mass transit agencies, and it's also a community-driven initiative. So, on behalf of the TransAction Conference, on behalf of New Jersey, we're so excited to have UZURV and your service come to our state, and we look forward to seeing its proliferation throughout the state.
Likewise, Anthony. Thank you very much.
John, thanks so much for being here.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Donlon, founder and president of UZURV.
Yeah.
I'm Anthony Attanasio, your host for TransAction TV. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.